Shalom. We start this off by giving honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Wahawah Kakwatash. And that's to say in the Hebrew tongue, right? The ancient tongue, the holy tongue. All praises to Yahweh in the name Yahweh Shai and the Holy Spirit. Peace and salutations to the elect men and elder men that are diligently pushing forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai day by day, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To you I say shalom. Basically, the point of this lesson is going to be, don't lose sight of the end goal. Keep your mind on the vision. Keep your head and your spirit occupied on the things that's going to help us and help you get to the end and reach that finish line to receive those promises that were promised to us. You know, those that are faithful, those that are ultimately of the Lord's elect, right? So I just had a few scriptures, and Lord willing, this be like, quick and to the point, because it's a simple message, but this is Hebrews 11 verse 25. It says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, right? This is speaking and pertains to how Moses was basically moving while he was in Egypt, and with him being amongst our people rather than being in like a lofty estate, he was able to constantly deal with reality and what was true, right? It allowed him to keep his mind on the important things and keeping his mind on what's really going on, right? Not what society wants you to look at while they go to stab you in your back, with the other hand. It's not, he wasn't falling for the magic trick, the sleight of hand and sleight of attention, right? To say the least. But just meditating on this, like that's the mentality that we want to be in, choosing to rather suffer that affliction. It makes me think of this scripture. I want to say it's Ecclesiastes 7:7. Yeah, It says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, but a gift destroyeth the heart. I just get that just to add to the point as far as if you're in a position to where you're oppressed, if you will, more so in the sense of like seeing how things in the world aren't right, seeing that this world pushes wickedness for good, and the things that's good and righteous to be wicked. They don't uphold what's right in this world. So seeing that, and also seeing how this world constantly pushes for our people to not know who they are, constantly working to destroy us in all different kinds of ways, you see that we're oppressed, right? So it allows you to be conscious of what's going on. But with you doing that, you can seek the right solution versus just being in a complacent state of constantly being joyful, This is verse 2 in Ecclesiastes 7. It says, it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. It says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better, right? Because it's like the more it breaks, the more that the Lord can can fix, restructure and rebuild, build back better, you know. It says the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, you see, but the heart of the fools is in the house of mirth, right? And that word mirth goes into what? It says amusement, especially as expressed in laughter, you know. It says it is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools, you know. So you want to just make sure you stay in balance in the spirit, you know, making sure that you're not losing your head, you know, being amongst the world. Lord said he prays not to take us out of the world, but to keep us from the evil. And that's as far as our time that we here, you know, because again, we not losing sight of what the main objective is. You know what I'm saying? With the what's to come at the end, at the finish line. You know, we still running this race. We looking to make sure that we hold our position and be able to get to the end, so that way we're able to receive those promises and that crown. You know. But jumping back to verse 7, it says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Because that gift is like kind of going into what they say, like the house of feasting, you know. And you see in the NLT, right, for verse 2, it says, better to spend your time at funerals than at parties, you know. And I just get that for the word parties because, like, you know what goes on at parties, you know. Not even to get into too much specifics, but just a lot of people are in that state of constantly laughing, being happy, joyful. You know what I'm saying? You just want to keep it at a balance, and it ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? It's just the right measure, because you don't want to lose your head. You don't want to lose sight or lose track of what the main objective is. You know. So we just want to make sure that we keeping that in mind. But with Moses doing that, he was able to see, he was constantly in the house of mourning because he's amongst our people being oppressed and going through the things that they're going through, you know. So he was able to really deal with the issues and see those things, you know. He was put in a position to be broken just for the Lord to be able to build him back up better, you know. And that's something that's beautiful to be seen, because though that may not have been fully seen or understood right at the start, nonetheless, that was the end result, you know, good and better things at the end, you know. This is 2 Corinthians 4:15. It says, for all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of God. It says, for which cause we faint not. And this is getting to the point. It says, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. You see? So really what we're dealing with now is light, you know? So it's only but for a moment, right? And it's light for those that are truly trusting in the Lord and putting their trust in the Lord, taking comfort in him, putting on his yoke, you know? Because he's going to give you that comfort. He's going to make it light. He's going to put you at ease in the moments that he needs to put you at ease, you know? He's not going to put you in a position to take on something that's not of your measure, you know? But it says, verse 18, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal, you know? And the things that we can't see specifically at this moment, right here, right now, is the end, but we were able to see the vision. We know what's to come, you know? It's gonna be so beautiful. Our minds now can't even fully comprehend it, you know? The fullness of it. But yet we see it, having that faith to go with it, you know? And having that faith, now you gotta apply the works. Keep your mind where it needs to be at, where you need to be at. So that way you're not putting yourself in a position to lose everything, you know? Remember, he in the Hebrews 11:25, said to dwell in sin for a season, roughly paraphrasing, right? A season is temporal, you know? A season is something that you can see, right? But the season to come, you know, that's something that isn't seen, but we know is to be everlasting. Something that's going to last forever, something that's going to be eternal, you know? This is Hebrews 10 verse 23. It says, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promise. It says, let us consider one another to provoke unto love and good works. You see, it says, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. You see, we're constantly seeing how this world is starting to crumble, and we know that the scriptures talk about Esau is the end and Jacob is the beginning, right? So when that day comes, that's when we're in the position to be able to fully rise, you know, and take that step. We are to arise now and profess this word, profess the truth, profess what's going on, profess the oppressed, right? Who's being oppressed when they shouldn't be? Who's putting wicked for good and good for wicked? You know? So jumping here, this is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Hamashiach Yahushua with eternal glory. Right? It says, it is a faithful saying, for if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. You know? And that's losing your life to gain it, you know, to gain the whole world. The whole world that's to come. Not this wicked world that the Lord wants to be destroyed. That he wished was already burning, you know? But the world to come. Verse 12, if we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. You see? So we suffer now so that way we can reign tomorrow, you know? Whenever that day approaches. And that's what we are to keep in mind. That's what we are to keep our minds and our spirits occupied on. Not getting attached to this world that we know is to be destroyed, that we know is going to pass away. But building our treasures in the heavens, you know? Keeping our eyes single. Staying razor sharp focus. Building discernment, your prudence, being circumspect, not just being tossed to and fro, not just being pulled anywhere willy-nilly, not putting yourself in this situation or that situation, but being mindful. So, that's pretty much the point. Make sure that you keep your head and keep your spirit on the end goal, on the finish line to receive those promises, So, call on Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Wahara Kakwadash. Lord, this has been edifying. With that, I'll say Shalom.